Thors Thunder Thoughts. Your thoughts are your most powerful asset that you have, that you can utilize on an every single day basis. I created this podcast to help you weaponize those thoughts and level them up. What is cooking, Viking crew? You pumped for this episode? You ready for it? You ready for your mind to be blown? That thought of the day to come right to your eardrums? Or what? I know, I'm super pumped to give this one to you. And it's something that, it's so much so come into my life since I heard this in the first place. I didn't understand it at first, and then it really rapidly grew in my mind. So I'm super pumped to share this with you and this perspective on life and this thought. And I really hope that you start to utilize this as well, because it will I guarantee it will change your life. And it'll change how you produce, and all of the opportunities that come your way will be so much more successful because you implement this. And it was first presented to me by Gary Vaynerchuk. He talked about curiosity, and ever since I heard this be said, it is just blown in my mind, and how we are not curious at all as individuals. And this is where that whole culture of the Karens and everything like that come from. It's because instead of being curious about what other people think, instead of being curious of why somebody said that, you automatically go to judgment, automatically go to assumptions, automatically just create these things in your brain of what you think it is, instead of being like, I wonder what they're thinking here. And ask some questions. And so often we don't ask any questions. We just start vomiting out our mouth with all of our thoughts and everything like that on that, instead of actually educating ourselves on what it is that people are trying to say or trying to do. And that is such a big thing, is why not be curious? Because then you can learn. But when you're the whole Bruce Lee thing of your glasses full, if your glass is full, you can't learn anymore. You can pour water in it all the time, but it's just going to spray out the top. You got to empty out some of that glass and start getting a little bit more curious in life. So just think over this last week, how many times did you just come to preconceived notions about things? How many times did you just think before asking? How many times did you just start putting stuff out there instead of actually really understanding your thoughts or understanding their thoughts and their actions? Because when you get curious about things, then you can actually ask why somebody is thinking this way. I was having this conversation, very in-depth conversation, with a friend of mine the other day, and instead of them actually asking me what I thought about that, I shared with them a very different way of thinking on a topic, and they're just like, no, you're wrong. And without asking me, they're just like, nope, you're wrong. You're so off here. And I just smiled. I'd be like, I'm curious, why do you think that way? And they told me just with 3 or 4 words, why I was wrong. I was like, you have no clue what I'm talking about. Maybe you should ask a question. And I just left it like that, and I walked away. And then they came back to me and be like, okay, man, I get it. I asked you a question on why. And I told them my full explanation, big explanation about it. And they're like, holy crap, I was so wrong. You're right. And I was like, I know, because I'm talking from experience. So most people are giving you insight from experience and from feelings. But what you have to do is you have to ask some questions. You got to be curious about what's going on around you, why people are doing things. And when you do, guys, oh my gosh, your life will become so much more full, because you'll learn so many different things about so much stuff. And your wisdom will grow and your perspective will grow, because there is 156 ways of doing every single thing. My grandpa taught me that when I was so young. And it's so true. There's so many different ways of doing something. Just because you've been doing it one way your whole life does not mean that is the best way of doing something. And that's why I love working with teams. I love working with people. I love masterminds. Masterminds are my favorite thing, because you get to share and understand what other people are doing. So what I challenge you to do is this week is be curious. Ask questions on why people are thinking or doing or performing certain ways before you start jumping. Because Bob Proctor says, another great man, he says, do not react respond. He actually made a coin. These coins are super cool. They actually have R and R on each side, and one says react and one says respond. And he says, always respond, do not react. And in our society nowadays, all we do is react, 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 because we just don't have the time to respond. So what I'm saying is take the time and properly respond. Be curious, ask the questions. Don't just react with the first thought that comes to your mind, because when you do that, you lose so much power and you put yourself in a very, very weakened state. So respond, don't react, be curious, go crush it, go be the best version of yourself. Anyways, I will see you tomorrow.